Well, good morning. How are you all today? And welcome to Integrative Preparedness. I had told the folks on Patreon I was going to take the day off today and just relax, do a little bit of writing on the seventh book. But something I realized that I hadn't covered something, so I wanted to get this out there and let you all think about this over the weekend. Before we get into this, and it is a virus with a 100% kill rate, that's peachy, isn't it? I want to remind you that this and all my videos are brought to you by the Stonemont series, my series of books. 6 novels in which I include the complete plan of how to prepare for, how to survive, and how to rebuild after a total collapse of everything. They are available on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, or now Audible. And people have been asking for that for a long time on Audible, or you can get them directly from me on our website, stonemont.us, and then I get to sign them for you, and I enjoy doing that. So if you haven't read them yet and you're serious about preparing, you might want to make this your next step. And yeah, that is exciting. Available on Audible. I've already had people reach out to me and say, I have binged the entire series on Audible. And we'll see if they do that. You know, there's some people have told me they've read through the whole series 5 times. We'll see if you do that on Audible too, all right? Okay, well, today, and this came up several days ago, and there's been a lot of articles out about it, but this, I'll tell you what, this poses a particular situation, a challenge to us. There is a new virus coming out of China. Can you imagine that? Imagine that. New virus known as GX-P2V that has had a 100% kill rate when it is used to infect a special breed of so-called humanized mice. Now, I know that I mentioned something about, I didn't talk about this one, I talked about a different one having to do with humanized mice. We call them Congress people, but this is something they're playing around with in China. So they've been looking at, continue to look at COVID-19. That'll get me a banner here, and they've come up with this. Okay, and they say that this means their brains have been genetically engineered to express a. Now, I'm not just going to read this and try to scare you about it. And at the end of this, I'm going to ask you a very important question. Okay, so stay with us. This means their brains had been genetically engineered to express a protein found in humans to better understand how we might react to the virus. The sobering findings suggest that if the disease were to spread among people, the effects could potentially be cataclysmic. You think? 100% death rate? I'd call that cataclysmic. All the mice were infected with the virus, died within just 8 days. Now, listen to what happens to them, according to a preprint paper on the findings, which was released earlier this month. The Beijing-based team, which carried out the analysis, noted that the GX-P2V reached the lungs, bones, eyes, and windpipes of the rodents. In the days before they died, the mice rapidly lost weight, had difficulty moving, and became hunched over. By day 6, the viral load had significantly decreased in the lungs, but their brains had shrunk, and there were exceptionally high virus levels in their brains. Most disturbingly of all, their eyes allegedly turned completely white the day before they died. I mean, I don't know if that's most disturbingly. I mean, your brain's rotting, everything's rotting, and then you're going to die. I'm not sure that the eyes turning white are the most disturbing thing about that. But anyway, these findings suggest that the virus first infects the respiratory system, then migrates to the brain. Severe brain infection during the later stages of infection may be the key cause of death in these mice, the researchers in Beijing wrote. This differs from COVID-19, which causes lower lung infections and, in severe cases, pneumonia. However, the human-borne virus has also been identified in the brain tissue of acutely sick patients. The team concluded, quote, "This is the first report showing that the SARS-CoV-2 related pangolin coronavirus can cause 100% mortality in HACE2 mice, suggesting a risk for GXP2V to spill over into humans. The new life-threatening virus is a mutated version of GX2017, a coronavirus relative that was discovered in Malaysian pangolins in 2017, 3 years before the pandemic." Pangolin, I wasn't familiar with that. I haven't spent a lot of time in Malaysia, so I looked it up, and there's a picture of it. It looks like an armored anteater. That's a weird. Boy, there are some weird animals in the world, aren't there? Okay, so there you have it. I sent out several days ago. I texted people in our group, many of whom are medical people, and the response that I got back, I said, "What do you think?" They said, "Doesn't surprise me." So, what I guess first I should ask, what do you think? But we've been through this before. Is it real, or is it, whatever? But here's the challenge. A new challenge. You want a new challenge? You want something else to stack on top of your preparedness protocols? Well, here, and by the way, I should have welcomed all the new people, and welcome to you. And I made a couple of new videos yesterday, 2 of them actually, about advice to new PMPs, preparedness-minded people. Okay, and so if you have come on in this and you go, "Oh my gosh, I was just preparing for a snowstorm or a job loss or something like this, and now you give me this. Now you give me this new possible viral strain with 100% mortality rate." I know it can make you run out of, with your hair on fire screaming. Don't worry. Keep at it. Keep at it. Keep at it. Preparedness is a journey, not a path. If I had, the Life is a Path mug is across the room, or otherwise I'd hold it up. One of our beautiful new mugs that we're making available on the website. And just keep at it. That's the thing. For you somewhat more advanced preparedness-minded people, this does give us another challenge. What if it's true? Let me put this out there. What if it's true? And anybody who says something can't be true, hey, I would just suggest don't limit yourself there. Anything can be true. Anything can happen. You know the kind of people we have in charge of things in this world, right? If you subscribe to the to the belief that the big plan is depopulation, then why wouldn't this be true? And on the other hand, if you subscribe to the idea that, hey, people are just idiots and there's a lot of crazy stuff in the world and they keep playing around with things they shouldn't be playing around with, then also, why wouldn't this be true? The danger is, what if it's let me deploy a sip of coffee. Those of you who have been with us for a while know the joke, right? If you don't know the joke, stay with us. And what if they deploy this? I'm making fun of people who use the word deploy when they weren't in the military or the police. So anyway, Steve, you shouldn't make fun of people. You know what? Some people just bring it on themselves. So what if they do? What if this does get out? How do we deal with it? Well, in my mind, the only way to deal with it is complete isolation. Complete isolation from anyone possibly carrying it. Now, how do you do that? And I went back to, I talked about back during that thing in 2020, I was still working at the hospital, and I was around it all the time. And I was in the security department. I mean, we'd be tussling with people, and half the time without a mask on. I carried I don't know how many hundreds of bodies down into the morgue. Uh, and when we do that, and something was labeled COVID, COVID death, they'd seal them up, and I mean, we put on our astronaut suits, and all that, but that was only taking down a body of a person who had reportedly died from it. When we were just normally around, we were around it all the time. We were in the ER department. We were, like I say, having to get hands-on with people, and most of the time never wore masks. And when we didn't wear them properly, to be honest. Half the time we were bringing them down underneath our nose because we thought that the mask mandate was stupid and we couldn't breathe, and you know how it is. So I said, I was in the middle of all that and didn't get it. And then there were those people who reportedly, I mean, sealed up. I know there were people who made YouTube videos, said they kind of live, far away from other people. They locked down. They took, what I won't call them extreme. I mean, let me put it this way. I will say extreme, but I don't use that in a negative context. I would say they were very, well, the total isolation to the extent that they could. And they got it. So, how do you work this, right? Let me deploy another sip. Or I guess I'm deploying the mug, aren't I? I'm going to deploy the mug. And if you're new here, yes, you might notice that I I make videos a little bit differently than other people. Well, the solution to me is simply total isolation. So how do you do that? Well, you want absolutely no contact with anybody outside, your circle in the world, in the outside world. No contact until the die-off. I mean, if it's 100% mortality rate, there's going to be some dying. This thing was killing mice or rats or whatever, mice, I guess it was, in 8 days. So I guess, if you see people coming toward your house with white eyeballs, that they're infected. But I would say, total isolation. I mean, you've got to be able to lock down. And then what I would suggest is an isolation between the people in your group. Now, how do you do that? I mean, if you live out, outside the city, it's going to be easier. But still, you have the people in your family. What would you do? What would you do? Well, I can think of some horrible examples. The first thing is to respond quickly enough. And here again, this is how they can use fear to manipulate us, to control us. I understand that. So there's no need to come on and say, they're just trying to scare you and don't give in to this stuff and I'm never giving in to it again. Okay, that's for you, and that's good. Whatever you decide to do for yourself is fine. But I'm going on, we're using this as an exercise for what if it's true. And you should always use these things as exercises for what if it's true. And this does bring a different element to it, okay? So say it comes out, oh, this stuff is loose. It's loose, and you can't say it's loose in your area particularly. It might be, or, but with the kind of travel people do now, hey, if it's in the United States, people travel, airports, driving, whatever, stopping by Buc-ee's, and it can spread. So you see it, and you say, oh, we're going to lock down. Well, hopefully you've got enough stuff in your house to last you how long? Well, you should, how about a year? I know for a lot of people that seems unreasonable. Well, how about I don't know that a month would do it. Okay, how about 3 months? How about 3 months never having to open that door? Never. Hopefully you can continue to pay your bills online. Hopefully there's enough people. Here's one of those things to where perhaps automation has helped. I was going to say, as long as there's people on the other end to process your payment, but they don't need that anymore. They got computers and AI and everything like that. So if you can sit here at your computer and pay all your bills and your mortgage payment and your light bill and your gas bill and your water bill and whatever bills you may have, okay. Well, hopefully you've got that much in your account, right? That's part of preparing. That's part is having the money, okay. And if you don't, I would suggest, because there are far too many people involved in preparedness, and this is kind of at the lower end, that haven't thought and really haven't given money the place that it's due. You have to have money. Well, you don't have to have it. You can live in the woods and skin bobcats and things, and I suppose stay alive. That's not the kind of staying alive I want to do, and I don't think it's what most of y'all want to do either. But you hopefully have the money to get you through. You hopefully have the food and the water stored or being able to process it that you need to last. And nobody knows. I don't know. You don't know. Is it going to be 1 month? Is it 3 months? Is it going to be longer? You should have a lot. You should, and this is what I say. You should, if you should be able to stay in your house or your whatever it is for a year and not go out. I mean, horrible, right? But I'm taking it to its extreme. And if you plan for the extreme and the extreme doesn't happen, you're going to be a lot better off than if you didn't plan for the extreme and it does happen. Right? Makes sense? Sure. So think about, and then the people within your house are going to have to isolate each to themselves. What does that mean? That means making sure, that means that you don't come into contact with each other. Or if you do, you are so suited up that you have minimized as much as you can the possibility of contamination from one to the other, and hopefully you're okay. But think about this. What if one person, or more, but just one person is infected? What are you going to do? Are you just going to stay hands off of them and watch them die, or shut them into a room and watch them know that they're in there suffering alone? I mean, this is a lot of was the horrors of the previous thing. How many people died alone? I mean, in hospitals, yes, but laying there, being surrounded by people in spacesuits, not being able to see their loved ones. The loneliness and the fear had to be horrible. And it was for loved ones who couldn't get in to be with them. So are you just going to let them lock them in a room and know that they're in there suffering and dying all by themselves? Or are you going to be with them? You're going to be with them. You're going to be with them. I mean, any normal person is going to be with them. Boy, this brings some issues, doesn't it? I'm going to be interested, and I have to say here, I want to give a compliment to all of our commenters. And I say that if you join us over on Patreon, you get a lot more stuff, and the community over there is exceptional. But I'll say also that the people, the commenters on the YouTube, are also exceptional. I've always said that I have the smartest commenters in YouTube land, and you all prove it every day. So if you're new to us, be sure that you read the comments, and then come on over and be with us on Patreon. You'll get a lot more out of things. You'll be glad you did. So think about these things. What if this is true? What if they have played around and come up with a virus purposely or by accident? Doesn't matter. It's here. If it's here, it's here. It doesn't matter how I got it. With a 100% kill rate, like so many things, it's taking the appropriate action in time. In time. And being able to do that. That means locking down and being able to be self-sufficient for as long as it takes. Can you do that? If you can't, it might be something you should think about. Okay, I'm gonna deploy my mug for another sip and remind you again. And while you're locked down, or even while you're locked down on these snowy, frigid days, remind you of our sponsor, the Stonemont series, the best book series people say about preparing for, surviving, and rebuilding after a total collapse of everything. And it's a great story. The reversion, the revival, the renewal, and appeal to heaven, the blessings of freedom, and hostages to fortune. You'll love the story. You'll love the people in it. You will learn a lot. And it's available on both Amazon or through our website, stonemont.us. And I'm really excited about this Audible stuff. I mean, people have been asking for it for several years, and now it is out on Audible. So you can watch it while you're, messing around the house, working in your shop. You guys out there over the road, you drivers, you can now listen to the entire series on Audible, and you're going to love it. Okay, think about this. What are you going to do? 100% kill rate. That ain't fun to think about, right? Let me know in the comments what you think, and think about it for yourself. And remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And I'll talk to you maybe tomorrow. See you later. Bye-bye.